The 1999 film Galaxy Quest is a terrific and clever sci-fi comedy that's both a satire and a loving tribute to space sci-fi. There's plenty for both kids and adults to enjoy about the film, but the hilarious intergalactic romp includes a lot of jokes and meta-commentary that only adults will appreciate. While Galaxy Quest is a lighthearted comedy, its sci-fi world is treated as seriously as it would be in a legitimate Star Trek movie. The design and production values are on par with other big-screen space adventures of its day, and similar talent and methods were employed to make it that way. The visual effects and starship models were created by Industrial Light and Magic, the top-shelf effects house that was born from the production of Star Wars. The makeup effects for the villainous Saris and his soldiers were headed up by Stan Winston, the legendary artist behind The Thing. According to Never Surrender, a Galaxy Quest documentary, making the sci-fi elements the straight man of the comedy was a deliberate decision. In order for the film to work, the sci-fi stakes needed to be totally real, with the comedic element stemming from the human characters, or the way the Thermians literally incorporated the Galaxy Quest TV show into their culture. Making a clear delineation between the real dangers of space and the very fake TV world to which the actors are accustomed actually helped heighten the comedy. It's the context of the creatures and circumstances the characters encounter that makes them funny, not those things themselves.
Well, forget it! I'm not doing it! This episode was badly written!
Galaxy Quest centers around the strained dynamic between star Jason Nesmith and the rest of the cast of the Galaxy Quest TV series, which is similar to the decades-long conflict between Star Trek's William Shatner and his co-stars. Much of the cast of Star Trek have openly criticized or expressed dislike for Shatner, while Shatner expressed puzzlement as to why. Castmates Leonard Nimoy and George Takei have complained that Shatner would use his power as number one on the show's call sheet to steal other actors' lines or close-ups, or to try and hog press attention. Like Nesmith, Shatner doesn't seem to find anything wrong with his own behavior, but while Jason seems to harbor no ill will towards the crew, Shatner is famously defensive and publicly casts Takei as irrational. However, the rest of the Trek cast has enjoyed a very close, family-like relationship, much like the one seen in Galaxy Quest. In the film, Gwen DeMarco says,
"You see, we work together, or not at all."
This mirrors Leonard Nimoy's refusal to participate in Star Trek the Animated Series, unless Nichelle Nichols and George Takei were also hired. Nichols and Walter Koenig were best lady and best man at Takei's wedding, to which Shatner was not invited. Shatner also did not attend Leonard Nimoy's funeral due to a scheduling conflict, but says he doesn't think he'd have been welcome anyway. In Galaxy Quest, Alan Rickman's character Alexander Dane is a serious actor who feels that his career has been destroyed by his years playing the alien Dr. Lazarus. Dane's plight is far from uncommon, as actors who do sci-fi television often find themselves shoehorned into similar roles. But Alexander's frustration seemed to be particularly inspired by the life of one particular Trek cast member, Leonard Nimoy. While Nimoy might not have expressed the levels of resentment that Dane does in the film, he did struggle with being so closely identified with Spock. Nimoy found that it made it hard to further his career as an actor, leading to his moving behind the camera as a director. This struggle became exaggerated in the public eye when his first autobiography was published under the controversial title I Am Not Spock, which created a misconception that Nimoy disliked the role and the place it created for him in pop culture. Nimoy sought to correct this perception by naming his 1995 follow-up, I Am Spock. While Dane's story is more dramatic, he also makes peace with his iconic role by the end of the film. One of Galaxy Quest's running gags is the quiet calm of Fred Kwan, who doesn't seem to respond appropriately to any of the peril and weirdness that happens throughout the film. It's easy to read the chill, frequently snacking Fred as being in a marijuana-fueled haze throughout the action. This is actually deliberate and is a holdover from the original intent that Galaxy Quest be a more adult-oriented comedy. Tony Shalhoub was originally up for the part of Guy, which ultimately went to Sam Rockwell, but director Dean Parisot invited Shalhoub to play Fred Kwan instead. Shalhoub initially declined, as he felt an Asian actor should play an Asian character, but the two determined that Fred himself is actually a non-Asian actor playing the Asian character Tech Sergeant Chen. This development reminded Shalhoub of an unconfirmed rumor that actor David Carradine, while portraying the whitewashed role of Kwai Chang Caine on the 1970s TV series Kung Fu, smoked weed constantly on set. Shalhoub and Parisot invented a backstory for Fred that he had done the same thing and then ended up becoming a burnout, and the part was totally rewritten with that in mind. Very little of this made it into the final film, with many of Celebs' stoner gags being cut, and the only acknowledgement of Fred's faking his ethnicity being a passing reference to Kwan not really being his last name. Early in Galaxy Quest, we learned that Jason Nesmith has been hired to make a personal appearance by teenage fan Brandon and his friends. Jason explains it by saying,
"It's not a big deal. These guys put a little set in their basement. I'm there about an hour."
However, despite Jason's downplaying, consider how expensive it must be to book Jason Nesmith for a 1-hour appearance. Yes, he's an out-of-work actor, but he's still got a nice house in the Hollywood Hills and is apparently in enough demand to warrant a 3-day convention dedicated to his long-canceled TV series. Serious acting work may have dried up, but there's no shortage of people looking to pay money for Nesmith's attention. In 2021, a 10-minute live Zoom call with Star Trek actor Jonathan Frakes cost $750. Getting Galaxy Quest's lead actor to play his most famous role for an hour in their basement could not be cheap, even if you skimp on the limo. After receiving and misinterpreting Earth's television broadcast, the Thermians remodeled their entire society and technology after Galaxy Quest in excruciating detail. While Earth's TV signals really do escape our planet and travel into space, when you do the math, the Thermians' Galaxy Quest makeover must have been extremely rapid. Let's be generous and imagine that Thermia is a very close neighbor to Earth. The closest star to our sun, Proxima Centauri, actually does have a planet, Proxima b. Proxima is about 4.2 light-years from Earth, so it would take a television broadcast 4.2 years to reach there. Galaxy Quest aired roughly between 1977 and 1982, so its first episodes would have reached Proxima beginning in the early 1980s. The film is set less than 2 decades later, in 1999 or 2000. If the Thermians lived on Proxima b, that doesn't leave very long to reconstruct their culture, develop their technology to mimic that of Galaxy Quest, and then travel all the way to Earth. And if you consider Thermia is probably much farther away, that gives them even less time to work with. It's obvious when watching the film that the Thermians are scientifically brilliant, but factoring for real-life physical constraints, their genius is actually understated. When we last see the Thermians in Galaxy Quest, Mathazar is commanding the NSEA Protector with a newfound confidence, and the ship warps off into space after dropping off the television cast back on Earth. But as light and positive as this scene is framed, and as cheerful as the Thermians seem, their future is actually looking pretty bleak. As Teb reveals earlier in the film, the crew of the Protector is all that remains of the Thermian civilization, after the rest were exterminated by General Saris. Aside from the Protector's starport, Mathazar and his crew have no home to which to return. Being forced to wander the stars indefinitely in their starship is definitely preferable to extermination, but it will still be a struggle. Plus, the crew will also eventually have to cope with the recent demise of their homeworld. The film's finale sees the human cast of Galaxy Quest crash landing the command deck of the NSEA Protector into the main stage of the Galaxy Quest convention. The fans inside the hall seem to think this is just an elaborate stunt, but the moment they leave the building, they're going to notice that there's a path of destruction running through the parking lot and a gaping hole in the side of the building. Some of their cars have been destroyed. People are going to put 2 and 2 together. The very last minute of the film reveals that following the events of the film, Galaxy Quest returns to television for new episodes. But somewhere in between, there would have to have been some consequences of an alien spaceship crash landing into a California civic center. Did the US government get involved? Was there a cover-up? How did they keep people from talking? One possible explanation could be that in exchange for their silence, a shady government entity offered the hundreds of witnesses at the convention the one thing they wanted most: the return of the cheesy TV show they love. Part of what keeps the stakes of Galaxy Quest pretty light is that there are no negative consequences of the actors being abducted by aliens near the start of the film. When Gwen and the crew tell Jason that they want to go home, Jason pushes back by implying there's nothing waiting for them there.
Say the word, we'll go home. Pay our bills, feed our fish, fall asleep in front of the TV, and miss out on all of this.
This is a sad realization about the characters, but it's very convenient for the story. None of the cast has partners waiting for them to come home, or kids who need to be picked up from soccer practice. No one tries to get in touch with anyone back on Earth, at least not until Jason needs to reach Brandon for some tech support. The Galaxy Quest cast is evidently the only family any of them have, which ratchets up the importance of their relationship and makes their ability to get along the highest personal stakes for these characters. Galaxy Quest is a breezy comedy adventure, but it's also a story about how investing emotionally in a fictional world can enrich your real life. The Thermians found peace and purpose in literally believing in idolized heroes. The show's fans, too, clearly find a lot of enrichment in knowingly participating in the fantasy of Galaxy Quest. Both groups provide a lot of unwitting humor in the film, but that humor is mostly good-natured. While both the human and extraterrestrial fans of the Galaxy Quest TV series have already learned the importance of fantasy before the start of the story, it takes the main characters of the series a little longer. Over the course of the film, we see the jaded and exhausted actors slowly become the heroes that their fans always believed them to be. Jason only truly becomes the commander once he puts his trust in his friends and comes clean to the Thermians about his deception. Alexander finds Dr. Lazarus within himself by understanding what he means to Quellic, who sees him as a surrogate father. Fred, Tommy, and Guy each find a new confidence by rising to the standards of their characters and beyond. The cast grows through the belief of people who look at them and see the people they'd like to be, even if they weren't real to begin with. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.